Assalamu alaikum. Hello everybody. A very good day to you, and at first I would like to provide all types of praise for the Almighty Allah who has given me a chance to join such like a digital platform. And today I am going to take a session for higher secondary, and today's topic is worksheet. Before launching my session, I would like to introduce the main coordinator of the session, Professor Devobroto Ghosh, Honorable Principal, Government Hossain Said the College, Magura, and the course coordinator, Abdul Wadud Bishash, Head and Associate Professor, Department of Accounting, Government Hossain Said the College, Magura. And here I am, Mohammad Hussain, Lecturer, Department of Accounting, Government Hossain Said the College, Magura. I hope so. It will be very interesting and enjoyable to you all at the session, and you will understand all things at the same time that I want to submit in front of you regarding the issue of worksheet. So I must not prolong my speech regarding this issue. So go to the slide directly. Today's submitted issue is worksheet. And at the end of the session, we will know about the definition of worksheet and the calculation procedure of worksheet. And it will be the full procedure for calculation of a worksheet. A worksheet is a columnar sheet or a computer spreadsheet on which an accountant summarizes the whole information by the combination of unadjusted trial balance, adjustment, adjusted trial balance, income statements, and financial statements. By preparing the financial statements, we will understand how much amount of profit or how much amount of loss has been exist at the end of the session. And by preparing the financial statements, we will understand very clearly the equation of accounting A equal to L plus OE. That means assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. It is called the full picture of an organization. That means by observing our financial statements, an investor can easily understand the full picture of an organization. How much amount of assets are exist, how much liability, and what is the condition of capital. So a worksheet has some steps. Number one, unadjusted trial balance, adjustment, adjusted trial balance, income statements, and balance sheet. So it is the combination of a worksheet in case of sole proprietorship organization. So this is the steps for preparing a worksheet. We have to calculate very clearly and very consciously because each and every item is interacted with each other. So if you cannot able to realize any items of this particular issue, then it will certainly provide the wrong figure of revenue rather than actual. So now the question may raise in your mind, what types of question may raise in case of examination? So let's go to the practical questions paper solution. It is an unadjusted trial balance that will be given to you for solving the problem. An unadjusted trial balance of S. Raknuzzaman Trading, and it is prepared 31st December 2019. Their particular items of accounts has been given to this unadjusted trial balance. Number one, cash. Number two, accounts receivable. Number three, advance rent. Number four, supplies. Number five, machineries. Number six, accumulated depreciation machineries. Number seven, accounts payable. Number eight, salaries payable. Number 9, capital. Number 10, drawings. Number 11, service revenue. Number 12, depreciation. on machinery. Number 13, salaries expenses. Number 14, rent expenses. Number 15, utilities expenses. And number 16, supplies expenses. Their particular figures by segregating the two columns, debit and credit. Some items has been put into the debit side and some are into the credit side. At the end of the figure will be equal. Each debit will be equal to its credit. So here there are some particular symbolic facts we have to know. We know very well. Here 4 categories items are given. One is asset, another liabilities, and number 3 capital. It is also a liability from the point of view of the organization as ownership, and number 4 the personal account. So before calculating the worksheet and all accounts, we have to identify which one is asset, which one is liability, which one is personal account, and which one is capital. So let's go to the real fact for identifying the assets, liabilities, owner's equity, and capital, owner's equity and personal account. So cash is an asset, account receivable also an asset, advance rent asset, supplies asset, machineries asset, accumulated depreciation also a liability, accounts payable liability, salaries payable liability, capital it is also called a liability from the point of view of organization. Drawings it is a personal account. Service revenue it is called revenue or service revenue or income. Depreciation it is an expenses. Salary it is expenses. Rent expenses. Utility expenses. Supplies expenses is a expenses. So these are the particular items of accounts. So now the question may raise, what types of adjustment will be given to you for calculation? So let's go to the next slide. This is an adjusted trial balance, and for it the respective adjustments are given. Number 1, provided service on account, taka 100. That means provided the service, but due to some reason the amount has yet not been received. That means service provided on credit or service provided on account. How much amount? Taka 100. So what will be the adjusting entries for it? Accounts receivable debit and service revenue credit. How much amount? Taka 100. Number 2, adjustment now 2. Depreciation charge on machineries. How much amount? Taka 200. So for it the adjusting entries will be depreciation expenses machinery debit, accumulated depreciation expenses machinery credit. How much amount? Taka 200. Next one. Salaries has been earned by the company's employee, but the amount yet not been paid. That means earned salary, but the amount has yet not been given to the employees. So the respective adjusting entries will be salaries expenses debit and salaries payable credit. How much amount? Taka 300. Next one. Advance rent. Advance rent by the company given to its owner on 31st March 2019. 31st March 2019 for 12 months. Advance rent provided by the company to the owner of the respective warehouse or any other space on 31st March 2019. Look, Here 1200 taka was given as an advance when 31st March 2019 for 12 months. But the company actually used this space, this rent was given for 9 months, March, at the end of March. So we have to calculate from April. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. That means 9 months. 9 months rent has been expensed. So the adjusting entities will be rent expenses debit and advance rent will be credit. We know very well all expenses and losses will be debit and all assets will be credit. If any assets come into the business will be debit. If any assets going out from the business will be credit. In this particular case, advance rent is an asset, but it has been decreased, so it will be credit. If any assets come into the business or increase, it will be debit. If any assets going out from the business, it will be credit, or decrease, it will be credit. So rent expenses debit taka 900, advance rent will be credit taka 900. Adjusting Nong 5. At the end of 31st December 2009, the supplies balance is rest taka 300. But from the beginning of this year, the supplies was how much amount? 3,300. Now rest amount is 300. So 3,300 minus 300 equal to 3,000 has already been expensed. So supplies expenses will be debit and supplies will be credit. Supplies expenses is an expenses and supplies is an asset. So all expenses and losses will be debit, and if any assets may decrease, it will be credit. So again, we have to understand very clearly. Service provided on credit taka 100. Charge depreciation on machinery 200. Salaries earned but the amount has yet not been paid taka 300. Advance rent paid on 31st March 2019 for 12 months. Taka expenses will be 900 and the supplies balance is taka 300. That means supplies expenses debit and supplies credit 3,000. 100, 200, 300, 900 and 3,000. For these particular items, we have to calculate for the process. Now it is time to apply this adjustment in real purpose. So we have to fill up these items. It is an unadjusted trial balance that was given to you on question paper, and it is a box of adjustment here, debit and credit. So let's go to the Excel sheet for better understanding, and we will understand very clearly by apply the respective process. So look at the Excel sheet. Here, account receivable debit, service revenue credit. We have already mentioned about it. So how much amount? Taka 100 there. Am I right? Taka 100. Look, here all figure are blank, or I put it zero figure in adjustment area. Now if I put account receivable debit and service revenue credit, so what will be the fact? Account receivable debit, service revenue credit. Account receivable debit, and service revenue credit. Okay. So number 2, adjustment. Adjustment Nong 2, depreciation on machinery, debit accumulated depreciation credit. How much amount was there? 200. Am I right? 200. Okay. So depreciation expenses debit. Depreciation expenses on machinery will be debit. How much amount? Taka 200. Depreciation expenses on machinery taka 200. And accumulated depreciation taka 200. Okay. Next one. Salaries expenses was their debit and salaries payable credit. How much amount? 300. So what will be the impact? Salaries expenses debit and salaries payable credit. Debit. Okay. Now rent expenses. Rent expenses, how much amount was there? Taka 900. Am I right? 900. Okay, 900. So salaries expense, so rent expenses debit and advance rent credit. Rent expenses debit and advance rent credit. Rent expenses debit. Rent expenses debit, how much amount? 900. Red color. I symbolize by red color so that you may understand very clearly, because here same color may be not clear to understand. At the same time, this is why I have to make the color combination. Okay, here advance rent 900. 900 and 900, red color. Okay, now rest one adjustment. Rest is one adjustment. Which one? Okay, here supplies expenses. How much amount? Supplies expenses was there 3,000. Am I right? 3,000. So supplies expenses debit and supplies credit. Supplies expenses debit 3,000, green color. Supplies expenses debit and supplies credit. Look, these figures in total amount, this debit total amount is 4,500. Credit amount is 4,500. That means is debit amount will be equal to its credit amount according to dual concept of accounting. We know very well. So this is the adjustment. So it is time to understand the adjusted trial balance. So next one, adjusted trial balance. Look, adjusted trial balance. This is an unadjusted trial balance. Am I right? Unadjusted trial balance. Same unadjusted trial balance is there. Okay. This is an unadjusted trial balance and same figure is unadjusted trial balance. If we put the adjustment, ultimately the unadjusted trial balance will turn into the adjusted trial balance. So again, as we have already put it the figure, so 100 in one number 1, 200 in case of number 2 adjustment. Thin adjustment is 300. Number 4, how much there? In number 4 there was 900, and in case of number 5 there was 3,000. 3,000. Okay, so these are the adjustments and adjusted trial balance. Look, so we have adjusted trial balance and the figure of debit, the figure of credit and debit. So each debit amount will be to its credit amount. Okay, now it is time to calculate the income statement. You know very well, income statement only consider the loss, cost and revenue. Loss, cost and revenue. That means cost item will be treated in debit side and revenue item will go to in credit side. All expenses and losses will be debit. All revenue and gain will be credit. And from here, only two items will be considered in this case. So we know very well in what so we have to symbolize these items. So this is the adjusted trial, the unadjusted trial balance, adjustment, adjusted trial balance. So go to the next slide. Next slide, number 3. Number 3. So we have to do about it. Look, this is a revenue. So revenue. Now we have to consider only. Now we have to consider only the adjusted trial balance. You have to forget, after calculating the adjusting trial balance, you have to forget adjustments and unadjusted trial balance. Just you have to consider the adjusted trial balance. Okay. So before calculating, you have to look how much amount here, as it is an unadjusted trial balance. So again, we will put, for better understanding, put the figure again for better understanding. 100, 200, 300, here 900, here 3000. Am I right? Okay, very clear. Now look, 4,500, 4,500, 50,600, 50,600. That means my calculation procedure is going on right track. Right track. Now look, this is an unadjusted trial balance. Here 702,000 taka is a revenue. Am I right? Revenue. It is a revenue item. Okay. Here 200 taka depreciation expenses will be transmitted to here. How much amount? 200. Next one, salaries expenses. Salary expenses. Next one, rent expenses. Next one, utilities expenses and supplies expenses. In total, the expenses amount is here 6,900. 6,900. Total revenue item is 7,200. Only one item. Usually in your examination, only one item will be given. So don't worry about it. Only one item is usually given to you. So now the question to you, which one is bigger? Either 6,900 or 7,200. 7,200 is the big figure. So this big figure you have to put on both column, debit and credit side. Okay. Even after that, you have to differentiate from 6,900 to 7,200. What will be the difference? 300 taka. This 300 will be treated as net profit, because in this case expenses amount is smaller than revenue items, revenue amount. This is why net profit will be raised. So here 300 taka is the net profit. Now the question may raise in your mind, which will be the financial statement? So it is time to calculate the financial statement. So dear friends, let's go to the financial statements for better understanding. Okay. Here some particular items are given to you. So go to the next slide. This is the next slide. Again, just we will put the sum figure so that understand very clearly. Okay. So we know very well assets liabilities and owners equity will be put into the balance sheet or financial statement. So again, syntax number 100, it is the last process to understand. 200, 300, 300, 900, 3000. Am I right? Okay, look, all the figures has been changed. All the figure has changed. So it is time to understand very clearly. This is an unadjusted tail balance. I have already said that you have to consider now only the adjusted tail balance. So we have already put it the revenue items and expenses items. So rest amount is of assets, liabilities and owners equity and personal account. So here cash, how much amount? 3,500. The account receivable 3,500. Then advance rent, even after that supplies, machineries, accumulated depreciation is on liabilities. So these are all assets. Accumulated depreciation is a liability, so it will put it into the credit side. Accounts payable also a liability, it will be put it into the credit side. Salaries payable, it is also a liability. Capital, it is also a liability from the point of view of the company. And personal account is drawings, it will be a debit on the balance sheet. So you have to look here very clearly. Here how much amount was there? 3,000. Am I right? 3,000. We may have to calculate here how much amount. Here I think it will be 300, 3,000. It is matter little to you. Just you have to put according to your wish, and ultimately it will provide the figure. As it is a program software, I've already set for better understanding. So hope so. Now look how much amount there. 300 taka was the net profit. 300 taka is the net profit. So it is a debit. In income statement, it is put into the debit side. So it will go to the credit side of the balance sheet. If this 300 may raise in credit side, you have to put this amount into debit side. That means it will be the reverse in case of between the balance sheet and income statement. As it is debit, so it will go to the credit side of the balance sheet. If it raise in the credit side, it certainly will go to the debit side of the balance sheet. So it is very clear. It is very important because maximum students may not realize at the end of the session. This is why the figure of balance sheet may provide the wrong figure rather than actual. So you have to be very much conscious while transferring this amount. Okay, so now look, if you calculate, if you summarize, if you sum up the whole figure of the debit side, and if you sum up the whole figure of credit side, it will be the equal figure. Every debit will be equal to its credit. Every debit will be equal to its credit. So this is the configuration. It is very easy for you to understand very clearly. You have to realize the adjustment, because adjustment is the main factor. Adjustment is the main factor. If you make a mistake, then certainly it will provide the wrong figure. So be conscious regarding this particular issue. I hope so. This particular process will be help you to understand very clearly, and I hope so. The upcoming days of you will be happy, and you will enjoy this class. And I hope so during this session you will keep safe and you will stay at your home. And here I would like to give a special congratulations for staying with me, and thank you all for keeping patient, and hope so you will be benefited at the end of the session. Thank you all.